This episode is brought to you by Dashlane. Try Dashlane Premium free for 30 days at dashlane.com/infographics. And never forget another password and keep all your online accounts secure. The celebrity chef everyone loves to hate, Gordon Ramsay, once famously said that there's one place he would never eat, and that's on planes. Except he used more colorful language, of course. Ramsay followed that by saying, "I worked for airlines for 10 years, so I know where this food's been and where it goes, and how long it took before it got on board." If you've eaten on planes, you'll know that everything in those boxes seems to taste, well, just kinda not how it's supposed to taste. Scrambled eggs, for instance, seem to be missing their egginess. Something just feels wrong. The dearly departed chef and food writer Anthony Bourdain said the same, that he refuses to eat on planes and would rather go hungry than risk eating in the skies. So what's the deal? Why is airline food so awful? First of all, Ramsay actually worked with an airline to help them with their food. He introduced dishes that sounded like they came from a 5-star restaurant. And he's not the first chef that has been hired by airlines. The names of the dishes on many airlines sound pretty enticing. Who wouldn't want to try the red wine braised beef with polenta that was served on Air New Zealand? And surely Austrian Airlines couldn't make a mess of their Viennese schnitzel. When Virgin America introduced their Spanish tapas, you'd think that most folks would not turn their nose up at that. Is Ramsay just a snob? Was Bourdain too picky? The answer is probably no. We should say that flying for a lot of people is a novel thing, and they can't wait to chow down on free food. We guess a lot of you don't mind what you're given, but we very much doubt any of you would say the stuff you got on the plane wouldn't be better than if you got the same dish in a restaurant. We can guarantee you that the Viennese schnitzel is better in Vienna than it is 30,000 feet up in the air, and there are a handful of good reasons for that. One of the obvious reasons why airplane food is not so good is the fact that it's not served to you fresh from the kitchen. It's made in bulk at some place not far from the airport. Travel and Leisure magazine investigated this and so went to Dubai to see where Emirates made their food. They have a huge facility near the airport where thousands of dishes are prepared each day for its own airline as well as many others. The dishes the facility is told to make have been thought over for a long time. We might recall how American Airlines famously saved $40,000 a year by removing one olive from their salad. Okay, so once the dishes have been decided and the budget's figured out, the factory-style restaurant gets down to business. It's really not a restaurant at all, and this is what you might call a food processing plant. The folks preparing the food are made to wear hairnets and in Dubai at least have an air shower before they go near any food, so nothing will fall into the dishes. What we're saying is that plain food is at least probably clean food. When it comes to making the dishes, those that will need to be heated up are made and then they're frozen to specific temperatures. When you get them hot, that's because they've been heated in the plane's convection ovens. According to Travel and Leisure, chefs will prepare meals 8 hours before a flight, with hot food items having a shelf life of 72 hours, though the team typically works within a 43-hour time period. When it comes to meats, chicken might be cooked just 60% frozen and then finished on the plane, while beefsteak might be cooked only 30% frozen and then finished on the plane. Generally, if the food has been put up on the plane and the plane is delayed and it just sits there, it will have to be taken off and dumped. Airlines will take no risks because if people get sick, there will be big trouble. There was once a famous case on Aerolíneas Argentinas when 76 people got sick and 1 died after eating shrimp that had gone bad. Anyway, so the food is not fresh and it's not been made with loving care. It's mass-produced stuff and made with safety in mind and often using quality ingredients. It's hardly as good as something you'll get at a restaurant. But that's not the only reason this kind of food isn't very good. There's a much bigger reason. Well, there are a few reasons. The food on planes dries out easily, and that's just because of how it got to you. Time magazine tells us that with the food being reheated and thus drying out, in economy many of the dishes are served with lots of sauce, but even then sometimes by the time it gets to you, it's dry. This cannot be avoided. One person who flew with British Airways called an egg sandwich in a review literally pointless. That's what we meant at the start of this when we said eggs lack egginess in the air. But let's say you are traveling in first class and you're looking forward to your lobster and lamb chops. The food has been prepared with more attention and it gets to you fast before it can really dry out. You'll taste it and it's still bad. What's going on? What a lot of people don't know is that when we fly, our taste buds are affected, and that goes for economy travelers and first-class travelers. The cabin pressure in the plane actually affects the palate. We're told that this pressure numbs our taste buds, and having a dry nose doesn't help either, as smelling is a big part of tasting. On top of that, it's said that the constant loud noise you hear on a plane affects how your tongue receives food. In one study, it was found that sound can affect a person's taste buds by 10 to 15%, with the conclusion being that it's something to do with the sensory interactions from the noise and nerves in people's ears. Low air pressure and all those loud noises literally prevent us from picking up on sweet and salty tastes. When the airline Lufthansa studied this, it found that people's ability to taste saltiness and sweetness can drop as much as 30%. Airlines have at least started to realize this after having scientists conduct studies. Some airlines have started to add more spices to make food sweeter or saltier to make the food taste stronger. It was found that some ingredients work in the air while others are compromised, so it's not easy to make all the foods taste better. The proof of the pudding are those horrible eggs. Then some airlines just started adding foods that already have really strong flavors. Since we can hardly taste anything in the air, there isn't much point to having a bland cheese up there, but use blue cheese and people might taste that. The problem though is that a lot of people won't eat blue cheese. Some airlines have been trying new stuff though. We quite like the fact that Cathay Pacific a while back knew normal beer wasn't working well, so they introduced a beer brewed with honey and longanfruit. The wine tastes different up there too, according to some people. They say it's more acidic in the sky, and that's because of the environment it's served in. Maybe next time you fly, have half a glass up there and then try a bit when you land, and see if you can tell the difference. We don't advise you try this with eggs. It could get messy. Food hacks like adding more salt and sugar to food are great, and we love sweet and salty food even when we're not at 30,000 feet in the sky. Having our laptop or cell phone hacked though, we're not so into that idea. That's why we use Dashlane. Dashlane keeps you and your online account secure and safe, with password storage, a VPN, and breach alerts to let you know when your data's been compromised. Dashlane is the one and only tool you need to keep you safe in a dangerous cyber world. We've been targeted before, our parents have been targeted before, and you will be targeted sooner or later as well. Head on over to dashlane.com/infographics for a free 30-day trial, and if you use the coupon code Infographics, you can get 10% off a premium subscription today. What's your worst flying experience? Did the person behind you stick their smelly feet between the seats? Tell us in the comments, then go watch What Happens When You Hide in the Landing Gear of a Plane. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.